OnePlus fans now have the first proper no-compromise OnePlus phone in the form of the 8 Pro. We've spent around 3 weeks with the device, which might be an S20 competitor, but let's find out why. Thanks for watching 9to5Google on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and enable notifications with the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. So as we mentioned, this is the first all-out OnePlus phone to date, which does bring with it notable price increases across the board. Starting at $899, the OnePlus 8 Pro is not a cheap smartphone, and part of that is owed to the community requested additions. So let's reel off the new inclusions to begin with, and the price jump starts to make much more sense. The OnePlus 8 Pro is the very first OnePlus device to come with an official IP water and dust resistance rating, even though older devices were shown to withstand a dunk in water. There is also wireless charging for the first time too, and a 120Hz QHD+ AMOLED display, and then on top of that, 5G support courtesy of the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chip. Right off the bat, that is quite a lot of new inclusions, add in some other bits and pieces, and the price jump really starts to make much more sense. Talking design though, the OnePlus 8 Pro is far taller and svelte than the squat OnePlus 7 and 17 Pro from last year. It's tall, refined, but has a great balance in the hand. The satin glacial green finish really catches the eye too, and is yet another fantastic colour option from OnePlus. Although that said, you can pick it up in ultramarine blue and onyx black should you not be a fan of the green. The colour might be fantastic, but the undoubted star of the show is that amazing 120Hz QHD+ display. In motion, it's arguably the best display we've tested, save the Find X2 Pro, which the OnePlus 8 actually shares some similarities with. I'm still not entirely convinced that most people will notice the bump from 90 to 120Hz, although I personally can actually notice that. If you're coming from a 60 to 120Hz display though, the change is stark and it really does enhance any and all interactions with the OnePlus 8 Pro. It's 6.78 inches of pure brilliance edge to edge. It makes watching videos, apps and everything else in between so much more fun and responsive. I personally have zero problems with the punch hole, although you will notice a shift in the status bar to accommodate the little display cutout. I'm personally glad that the pop-up camera has disappeared, as I felt that it ruined the top bezel and the quality of the images from that camera was pretty poor, even though we're now losing a tiny portion of the display as a result. When in bright lighting, the peak 1300 nit brightness is evident on the display when compared to dimmer displays out there. It makes outdoor viewing crystal clear and no issue. I've not also seen any of the green tint issues that have plagued some devices, although this appears to have been essentially resolved with the Oxygen 10.55 update. The curves at either side of the display might put people off, and I must admit I do still prefer flat displays, but overall it is exceptional in the hand. The curves do introduce some off-axis colour shifts, but none that will be detrimental to the overall experience using it. Day-to-day performance thanks to the combo of the Snapdragon 865 chipset, a minimum of 8GB of RAM, that 120Hz panel and Oxygen OS is blazing. It's as simple as that in reality. I've yet to see anything remotely resembling a slowdown. The OnePlus 8 Pro is an out-and-out powerhouse, capable of anything and everything you can throw at it. I do have some slight nitpicks with the software though, even with Oxygen OS being a competent OEM skin. I still think we need a dark mode toggle, and although not having that is frustrating, I will admit it's not a deal breaker. We were also due a camera shake-up, and the OnePlus 8 Pro has duly delivered. This is undoubtedly the best camera on a OnePlus device to date, and that dual 48MP sensor setup combined with a 3x telephoto zoom lens and that weird colour filter lens is fantastic. From the outset, this gives you options not too dissimilar to the OnePlus 7 Pro, but the improved optics are light years ahead of its predecessor, which felt a little bit disappointing compared to its rivals. When using a default 48MP sensor mode, the images are downscaled to 12MP and they have superb dynamic range, great colours and are tack sharp. That said though, I have noticed a little issue when zooming in, as the intricate details are not always preserved quite as well as some other camera setups, but I haven't found that too much of an issue in the grand scheme of things. You can bump up to 48MP without pixel binning tech quickly from within the camera app though. For most scenarios I would suggest avoid doing that though, as you do introduce plenty of grain and artifacts to your images. Although in good lighting it's fun to experiment with this new mode. Images can feel a little bit more washed out though compared to the 12MP results. With the telephoto zoom lens, it's an effective 3x zoom, but you can digitally zoom in as far as 30x. At that max zoom level, images are grainy and not particularly great. You can, however, get some solid results up to 10x, should you want to get closer to your subject without having to move. And the colour filter lens feels much more like a we put this in to add more lenses kind of addition. It's a cool effect, but I'm not entirely sure why it's there. I've used it a couple of times for a neat effect, but if I'm honest, I'll never likely use it again, and I'm pretty sure you'll be the same. In my opinion, the biggest outright improvement is in the nightscape mode, which is now a real competitor to the night sight on the Pixel 4. A single shutter snap in low light is also helped by the larger camera sensor, but the overall OnePlus 8 Pro camera is most definitely the best on a OnePlus phone to date, and it's one area where this phone does not fall down like it may have done previously. For video nerds, it's similarly impressive with 4K UHD 60 FPS available on all main lenses now. You can even record in the Cine profile at 21:9 aspect ratios. It's fantastic across the board for the mobile videographer. With a 4510 mAh battery, I was concerned about the longevity when the display was maxed out at that QHD Plus resolution and with the refresh rate pushing 120Hz constantly. My concerns were pretty unfounded though, as even at max settings the OnePlus 8 Pro can manage admirably. While screen on time is still a janky metric, I saw upwards of 4 and 5 hours of screen on time when the maximum screen resolution was set and the refresh rate was at 120Hz. Dip that to Full HD Plus and that only improves the situation further. 8 hours of screen on time was an absolute breeze. Although that said, I don't often push my devices too hard regularly throughout the day. In my experiences, I can easily finish a day with 20 to 30% in the tank, and with the Warp Charge 30T via wire or 30-watt wireless charging, I can often power back up first thing in the morning rather than charging overnight. It's great though that we finally have a OnePlus smartphone with wireless charging. OnePlus has thrown a spanner in the works slightly by only allowing the super fast 30-watt charge speeds with a proprietary charger. I have to admit though, it is impressive to see in the flesh. Having a wireless charger that can top up faster than most cables is pretty awesome in practice. That said, you can top up at 5-watt speeds with a standard wireless charger. Just a few tidbits before we wrap things up. The haptics are still about the best on Android when cranked up. Face unlock is absolutely rapid, as is the in-display fingerprint scanner. The stereo speakers offer a full sound that makes watching videos that bit more enjoyable, but overall this is a complete package. That said, you will have to ask yourself if the entire package is worth a significant price bump for what is on offer here. You are getting a true top-tier flagship that directly competes with the best in the business with absolutely no compromises. With all the trimmings, that does mean a price tag to match, but this is arguably the best smartphone on the market right now. So with that said, what are your thoughts? Has the OnePlus really abandoned its principles in favour of the high end? Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. But until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.